Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guests, for coming out to watch us. So I am joined by a very esteemed panel. Those introductions were lovely. We're going to walk through some of the innovations happening across the globe, Singapore, India, and Africa. So let's start. We're at a technology conference. Can one of you please share some technology advancements that you've seen in a respective geography that really excites you about the future?
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Saudi, the land of opportunity. It's an honor to be here. Thank you to Leap for this opportunity, which gathering the globe in Riyadh. Well, the future is here and the technology is starting from Leap. And when we see the globalization is bringing a lot of diversity, inclusion, and it's bringing that technique to make a better world. We need the technology, we need the IT, we need everything which is renovating innovation and creativity, but we don't have to forget that the human being who make technology, not technology who make the human being. Yeah. And for that field, we have to use it and to change and challenge the humanity and the business. And Leap today is challenging a lot of portfolio, like we say today in Riyadh, how it is really driving the future with technology in the diverse economic and healthcare, education. And I think not only in Africa and China and Singapore and Indonesia, it's in the Middle East and all the globe. We say thank you to the technology for serving the humanity.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to talk from an India perspective. So of course, India has just leapfrogged in the past 10 years. There's such amazing advancements in digital and tech. So much focus now, of course, our Prime Minister and our government, made in India, make in India, but a lot of focus on manufacturing, precision engineering, really helping crop tech, agri-tech, which is going to be a $25 billion market next year. Of course, a lot happening in affordable healthcare. Right, and so much of it is powered by AI-powered diagnostics, telemedicine in every part of India, and of course digital payments, financial payments have really leapfrogged. There was a report that just came out yesterday. I was reading saying that 46% of the world's digital transactions are happening from India. We also have something called the UPI, which is the Unified Payment Interface, that does around $1.3 trillion of transactions as of last year, and every day, like 500 million transactions almost, right? And there's so much focus on deep tech, space tech, drone tech. So definitely, these are the areas that are going to kind of change the direction of India and what they're looking into.
Thank you. Yinglan, maybe switching a little bit on the policy-making side, anything that you can share that's been innovative from Singapore?
Yeah, I actually spent my career in a policy position in the National Research Foundation in Singapore before veering to the dark side in the private sector. And I think what the Saudi government in the region has done is quite remarkable. I think you look at 10 years ago what Singapore has done to attract high-tech, high-velocity companies into Southeast Asia. I think Saudi has done it, but in a much faster pace, and I would argue that the velocity is breathtaking. Even today, I brought 3 of our Southeast Asian companies with plans to expand in the Middle East. But I think one of the principles of co-funding and co-matching, I think is key. If we look at what was the critical success ingredients of what Singapore did, was actually, and Vinnie was one of the recipients of this, we matched private sector funding with public sector funding and encouraged venture capital funds to flourish. I think this JADA and SVC has done in spades in Saudi. And I remember 10, 15 years ago, what we did was we actually co-invested with them in many young companies. And I think we're starting to see the same thing happen in Saudi and also the Greater MENA region. And as well, it nurtures a big talent base of repeat startup founders, great engineers that has seen the opportunity to capitalize on a fairly blue ocean. So I think a lot of the good things that I saw in Singapore is starting I see here today.
Thank you. And Christina, maybe as CEO of the Metaverse Institute, maybe there's something you can share on an international technological innovation happening in the metaverse.
Yeah, definitely. Very delighted. So we are currently leading a few projects as the United Nations through the International Telecommunication Union, which is the oldest UN agency responsible for setting up international standard around frontier technologies. So one of the task group which I'm currently co-chairing is about pre-standardization of the cityverse. What that means is how you can utilize a wide range of frontier technology, whether it's generative AI, digital twins, metaverse, Web3, content technologies, or 5G, 6G, etc., to create citizen-centered future smart city that is inclusive, accessible, and also sustainable. And obviously, the kingdom has been really leading in the world to provide that kind of human-centered smart city development, especially in NEOM project, in the Red Sea project, etc. So I think the key is really how we can identify effective use case within the wider smart city environment to bring happiness to our people, especially our aging society, because everyone, we are aging. And a lot of discussion is about how we support the younger generation, especially in the kingdom. A large portion is under the age of 30. But we shouldn't forget about our parents, our grandparents, who gave us life and give us opportunities to flourish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. So, to Her Excellency Laila, one word that you used a lot when we were catching up just before this was humanity, which is a great word. Can you talk about where you've seen innovations from female entrepreneurs, women in tech, specifically out of Africa, driving changes in humanity?
Yes, lately, thank you for the question. Lately, I am Africa platform, and we noticed that in Africa there is now that full coverage for internet, and we start teaching the women and the youth coding, and that what we implement the tech, and also we used to empower the women by e-commerce, digitalizations, and startup, and we make that SMEs booster and builder. And we notice about social media and technology as app, there is more and more involving the women because a lot of them, they don't want to go, it's far location for work. That means technology today, even in the Middle East, a lot of women by Instagram and by Amazon, they're selling online. So we see that it's propaganda, and there is Sella, I saw it here as app, and there is a lot of apps which come helping women on externally enlarging the network and selling them item. For women entrepreneur or any youth future entrepreneur, they use more because they don't have a big capacity like a big entrepreneur, and they are SME. So that's helped them to build the future. And I think we need more incubator on that field, and we need more awareness and education for the people and to help them from small to medium to big enterprise. It's the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just following up on that a little bit more, I think if we could get some maybe perspectives, India, Metaverse, Southeast Asia, on the cultural values that have historically defined a region and what that means for future innovation and what might be different because of that.
Yeah, no, this is a great question. I definitely believe, our history and our culture values defines our perceptions and how we go out to build products and services. So India, of course, is a hugely populated country, but also it's a country of many entrepreneurial people. It's really ingrained in our culture, right? So we have many small and medium business owners, and we use this term in India called jugaad, which is like, entrepreneurship and frugal innovation. So I think we've always been very innovative at coming up with great indigenous product, but at great cost-effective and innovative ways, right? So for example, in India, we have Paytm, the kind of largest fintech which pretty much took the entire unbanked population and they were now able to transact online. So even your kind of vegetable vendor, you can pay him using a QR code, right? Also, of course, because of our colonial past, there's a lot of, like I said earlier, kind of self-reliance, a lot of motivation and passion to kind of build in India, make in India, which has been amazing. And one of the great examples that we recently had was that our moon mission landed in the south pole of the moon. So we kind of landed the shuttle, and on a very shoestring budget, I think at 75 million, we kind of built that space rocket and we landed on the moon, right, which the whole world talked about. Of course, the likes of NASA have 25 billion budgets, but on a 1.5 billion budget, we kind of built that out, right? So I think that's really defined the way kind of India's culture has really pushed amazing entrepreneurship on the ground.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good.
How about from the Metaverse?
I think one of the most important things when we're talking about entrepreneurship and startup is about financing. And I can give you some interesting figures here about the global landscape of financing at this moment. So according to the World Bank, the global GDP at this moment is about 105 trillion US dollars. But the global debt at this moment as a result of the pandemic is about 97 trillion US dollars. What that means is worldwide governments, whether it's local governments or national governments, they are under severe debt. So how can we help, governments at different levels to have enough liquidity to invest into entrepreneurial activities worldwide is a major challenge. From a metaverse perspective, which we consider as convergence of many different technologies coming together, and one of the most important elements is digital assets.
Yeah.
Many of you are probably very familiar with. And at this moment, a really interesting trend is to looking at tokenization of real-world assets, debt, equity. And according to an estimation from NASDAQ in November last year, if we tokenize all the assets in the real world, whether it's real estate or debt or equity, that's going to create 637 trillion US dollars additional liquidity. That's 6 times of the total global GDP. Imagine if we do not tokenize 100%, just 10%. That's 60 trillion US dollars already. And I think we can fund many, many startups in different parts of the world to really give the finance support to all our startups spin-off who want to flourish in the years to come and drop down. Everyone's happy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think on Southeast Asia, the answer is a bit more nuanced because it's made out of 10 countries, 10 languages, which speaks 10 languages, many religions, many payment gateways. So for an entrepreneur to succeed in Southeast Asia, they need to be fluent in multiple geographies to build a big company. And that itself is an entry barrier by itself because it's also hard for, let's say, a Chinese company or US company to enter Southeast Asia. So that's one. I think second thing is the synergy actually in certain countries with MENA because like look at Indonesia, 250 million people that come to pay their pilgrimage in Mecca. So a lot of cross-pollination in payments, very interesting cultural similarities with the Middle East for Indonesia, for example. The third, I think, cultural nuance is that for some countries like Singapore and Thailand, the race is predominantly Chinese. So we are natural hinterland for some of these Chinese tech founders to come expand to. And with the difficulties in China, a lot of the tech founders are making Singapore their home, but really building companies headquartered in Singapore, but building global companies in the region. So I think the region is quite interesting because of all these nuances.
Thank you, Yinglan. So a lot of very large companies, a lot of tech companies, they put a lot of money into R&D, research and development. And if I look at it from a country level, I think the best thing that you can really research and invest in is the next generation. So this is young talent. I think across the globe we see education take on very different forms. Could you share a little bit about your respective geographies, offline and online, in terms of an approach to education and what that would mean for the future of innovation?
Well, the future here in Saudi, in Riyadh, in Leap, when I make around an exhibition, I see a lot of tech, which is they're doing education online. And that is the first step. It's been done during the COVID, a virtual education, but today it's mean we are building the leader of tomorrow. We're building the young generation with different perspective, and we're giving them the red carpet with the tech and innovation and creativity to learn, only if they don't want. And with the smartphone and iPad, you see a lot of apps. I mean, the door is open for anyone who wants to learn, to have a knowledge, but we don't forget there is somehow, somewhere in Africa, far away, where there is no 3G, no electricity, no water, no food, and still is rural places which have to be reviewed and taken in consideration by technology and about the big companies to cover those areas. Humanity needs us, and I say always, technology is brilliant, it's beautiful, it's building the future, but we have always to think about the others people who need boosting, who need help, and especially the kids, the youth, and subjects also about the women. Today, if we talk about education, it's a large competition because curriculum from US, Canada, London, and Middle East, or Arab, or Asia is totally different. We have to combine with technology some strategy and vision and goal to be combining unity for the humanity straight away to make it easy and flexible for everyone. The youth and the kids need us, and technology is the future, but we need to review where to locate it and when and how, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, from an India perspective, of course, there's a lot of focus on education. We're a land of engineers. There's a lot of focus on STEM. I think 10 of our top universities are featured in the top 500, but we have an aspiration of bringing the top 20 in the top 200. You know, we have the IITs, the IISc, the IIMs. There's also a lot of focus on upskilling the younger population on future-ready skills, in terms of Gen AI, data, cybersecurity, deep tech, drone tech, etc. Also, there's the Skills India mission, which is a government initiative, also partnership with the private sector, really enabling many more employable skills. Also, what's very vibrant in India is the focus on youth and entrepreneurship and startups. So most of the engineering colleges, technical universities have these amazing entrepreneurial cells that are literally churning out startups, right? And are also being funded by the government. We're also a country which has more than, I think, 700 million people in the young population bracket of 15 to 35. So of course, EdTech and youth is a huge focus for India, both from an online perspective and an offline perspective, right? And we have a huge focus on K-12, but also I think the technical side of things. And a lot more is happening now in terms of incubating the research labs, deep tech labs in the country. So we become a very strong technical base and pool of talent.
Thank you.
I happen to be in a position to evaluate hundreds of universities around the world in my previous role as China Director for QS World University Ranking for 7 years. So I know the education sector a little bit more. My perception on what's going to happen in the years to come is the education system will become more modular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you have a look one of the programs initiated by Google in 2020, they have a 3-month online career-ready certificate. And that certificate can be treated as an equivalent of 4-year bachelor degree offered by a university. And there are more than 200 top employers in the United States already accept that. And that certificate, you can do that in your spare time, costs less than $200 US, but you can get on average something like $60,000 US graduate level equivalent jobs. So every time when I was talking to top university presidents, government ministers about the trends where industry are not terribly happy with what our university is providing, they are terrified. Because our education is moving so slowly as a result of all the quality controls, regulatory framework, national curricula, which are very rigid. It takes a very long time to change. So I think there is tremendous opportunities for the private sector to come in to really help fast track that kind of process, to really allow every single one of us, whether we are K-12 or like technical education or vocational or it's higher education or lifelong learning, everyone needs to be trained because we are talking about 40% of job replacement as a result of AI by World Bank. And in the developing, especially in developed countries, we're talking about 60%. 10 years ago, a lot of reports saying that AI is going to replace lower skilled jobs, but now suddenly we realize that they are perhaps replacing higher skilled jobs a little bit more. And we all see the latest announcement from OpenAI when they have text pumped into high resolution video like Sora. All the investors who are originally planning to put huge investment into the movie studios, into gaming industries, suddenly they withdrew. So that's how quickly things are moving. We need to be really agile and flexible to cater to that kind of major trend on education and reskills globally.
I think just 2 more points to add, which is I serve on the National University of Singapore I&E's board. So we talk about this quite a bit, which is actually the emphasis for not just students, but also faculty. It's not just to write good papers, get good results, but also to start companies. So how do you spin off your research into real companies? You get you get admitted not just on the academic grades, but for entrepreneurship activities. Those are now being incorporated and ingrained into the admissions and promotion criteria. So that's one. I think the second point you made was very good, which is the AI sort of changing the way we teach students, right? Used to be the time where you are graded on things you memorize. But no, now ChatGPT has changed the way exams needs to be conducted, and emphasis is more on teamwork and project work. And I think that's going to change the next wave of students starting in university and going to the workforce.
I think I want to add on that. In the future, we should not only teaching our students how to use AI as a tool, and with the advancement of all the robotics, all this kind of brain-computer interface, where we see more and more convergence between human and the machine as some kind of more advanced forms moving into the future. We need to also teach our children how to live in harmony with our robotic fellows in the years to come.
Great, thank you. So I want to shift a little bit and talk about how different geographies, different regions interact with each other and the value that you get from that. I would love to hear any, and it doesn't have to be everybody in the panel, but any success anecdotes of something cross-border, cross-regional, what that looks like, how that develops, and how we could see more of that.
Go ahead. I mean, just from my perspective, I actually run a cross-border early stage venture fund. So that's kind of ingrained in our investment thesis. But there's been so much amazing collaboration between our companies and the sectors that we invest in. So for example, taking Indian B2B SaaS companies, taking them to the US, opening up the US, UK markets for them have been great, right? And even anything that we are building in India is being built, especially on the consumer side, for a varied and diversified kind of target population. It can be very easily transferred into some of the other emerging countries out there, right? So from our fund perspective, we've been doing that a lot.
For me, to see the success of collaboration is here in LIB. And also I give one testimony about Dubai Expo 2020, COP28, and we are also expecting in the region, Middle East, for Expo 2030 in Saudi, which is going to bring a big and huge investments and collaboration because, like I say, the countries are leading the future, but the one who making century, the one who making challenge and bringing more together, collaborating the people, not only in technology, in humanity also, and mostly now we're using tech in everywhere, in healthcare, agriculture, education, events. We need more collaboration, we need more testimony, we need more to enlarge and to forget all those obstacles. One mission, one vision, one goal is to collaborate for the best, to build the success for the humanity and for countries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think on the regional collaboration, maybe something really relevant to the Saudi Arabia kingdom at this moment is the expansion of the BRICS country. So we know, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and all the other countries that are going to join the BRICS bloc, which India is a very big part of that. So how that's going to impact on the global landscape when it comes to economic power, regional integration, trade, services, product, etc. It means tremendous opportunities moving forward.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So we want to be mindful and make sure that we end on time. So I have one question, and I think it actually will elicit some interesting anecdotes.
The lady there.
I don't know. I believe we have time for questions for the crowd, but if we do, I'll let you know.
Maybe you can take a question.
So for the question I'd like to ask.
Closing.
Startups love a good challenge. Entrepreneurs love to go climb some mountains. Challenges equal opportunities. So challenge is not necessarily a bad word. For your respective geographies, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges that need to be overcome to achieve its full potential?
Well, the big challenge, first of all, I will go always from leap. Leap is the biggest challenge. If you go out from this audience and you did not at least do 10 collaboration, the mistake is yours, not of the audience. The people need to collaborate, need to open up the door, need to see. For me, the biggest challenge, when I have now in my women business circle, 10,000 women as entrepreneurial leadership. And in the Youth Gate, we have 40,000 youth globally, which we are empowering. When I see people happy and making success, that's my challenge. When I see the humanity, people are happy, smiley, and no one angry, that's my challenge. Today, we don't say I, we say we together. We build the nation together, whereas no matter whom you are, from where you are, which nationality, which color skin, which passport, we have to be tolerant to each other. We have to collaborate, and we have to build up more leaps globally. And thank you to all leap people on the backstage. Thank you to Saudi Arabia for giving us this opportunity. Yes, the big challenge today is in Riyadh. In Saudi, it's called leap. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Okay.